Hi here. So today we are going to be making kombucha. I have gotten so many requests actually to do a demo on how kombucha is made. And so I'm going to do that right now. What's really cool about kombucha is not only that it's fun to make, but it's a really healthy thing to have on hand. It drinks like tea. It has a two-step, it has 1 or 2-step fermentation process depending on how you like your kombucha, if you like it just straight up or if you like it fizzy like a soda. And I'm going to show you how to do both of those. So the other thing is it's full of probiotics. So if you are going trailer camping, tent camping, car camping, and you're going to be out for a while, this is a great thing to have because you're eventually going to run into all kinds of bacteria while you're out there. This is the good stuff that's going to counteract the bad stuff and keep you healthy in the field. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play with our scobies a little bit. I'm going to show you what those are. And a SCOBY is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, and it is formed after the completion of a unique fermentation process. And that process is of lactic acid bacteria, acidic acid bacteria, and yeast. And what it does is it forms several sour foods and breads. It's very similar to sourdough fermentation. So the first thing we're going to do with clean hands is we're going to pull out our SCOBYs. And these are pink because I have been using, the tea I've been using actually is a hibiscus cherry blossom blend, which gives them this beautiful pink color. And this is what a SCOBY looks like. Isn't that just darling? They are so cute. They freak my husband out. He calls them little aliens. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull them out of the jar and put them in a clean dish. Oh, look! I have a bonus down here. Ooh. All right, there we go. And it looks like, oh, look at that. There's a little baby in there too. Hey, hello, baby SCOBY. I'm going to add them to the bowl. And I tend to do 2 gallons at a time. Another baby SCOBY. And a big giant mamma jamma there. Look at that. One of the other things I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you, is I'm going to start a SCOBY hotel. So very much like doing friendship bread and that kind of stuff. Ooh, bonus tea bags that got left in there. You can pass these on to friends. And there are constantly people online or in co-ops or groups that are looking for fresh SCOBYs because you can kill them if you don't take care of them properly, or sometimes you can get a molding issue if you don't take care of it properly. So then you have to pitch the whole thing and start over. And generally it's a 1 to 2 week process. So we've got our SCOBYs in our bowls, and this is our first fermentation process that is complete. So what has happened is we have filled this with a tea and added sugar for sweetener, and I'll do that all in just a minute. And then we added our SCOBYs and some reserve juice from the SCOBYs. You always want to keep about a half cup to a full cup starter to go into your next batch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to pour these off into different jars. And you can or you cannot use a strainer. I usually don't, but I'm going to do it just so you can see how it's done. Because sometimes there are little stringy things in there. I don't mind them. It doesn't bother me, but it could bother some people. So right now I'm going to pour off 2 half gallons. And you want to leave some reserve room right there. So, and look, there's actually nothing in there. So let's take care of the next half gallon. And that's going to fill about halfway because we do want some reserve left. And I've got my reserve there at the bottom of the bottle. I'm going to switch out jars here. Finish pouring this guy off. Now this particular kombucha is going to have a very fruity taste to it. The next thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you here, who knows what this is? This is ginger root. a really funny story. So, you know, all this COVID stuff is going on, and I knew I was going to be making a lot of kombucha, so I was at the grocery store, and I grabbed almost all of the ginger root. And this guy standing next to me, you see his mask and his eyes are like this big. And he said, "Is there something that you know that I don't know about the ginger root?" And I said, "Yep." And I walked away. It was funny. So anyway, I peeled the ginger root and then I sliced it into thin slices. This is how I like to flavor my particular kombucha. This gives it kind of a ginger beer, ginger ale kind of taste to it. And it kind of adds a little more fizz for me. So with these larger jars, you want to cut them into small slivers. And I usually put 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into these large jars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Please don't mind the mess behind me. My Diva's kitchen is not a clean kitchen because I'm in it all the time and I'm cooking all the time. So you don't need them thick. You want them thin so the kombucha can actually pull the flavor out. If it's too thick, it's just going to be eating the outside of the ginger root, and it's not gonna get to the center. So you're just essentially wasting ginger root. So now look at this. We got just a little tiny bit of stuff there. So I just kind of rinsed it in the sink. And let's finish pouring off. We got a couple little quart jars here. Let's save some room. Moving along. And it really is a quick and easy process. You just have to dedicate yourself to doing it once a week so you can rotate your stuff out. I do 2 gallons a week, and that gives me approximately a quart a day to drink, and I usually drink that in the evening because, especially with the ginger, it calms my tummy. Wow, we're gonna, that's interesting. I must have poured off wrong. Well, we're gonna pour a little half jar here and reserve the rest. So, and there was more stuff in that because we're getting closer to the bottom of the jar. So now, the last thing we're going to want to do, in fact, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm just going to pour all of it in here, and then we can get our reserve straight out. The next thing you're going to want to do, as soon as you are done pouring off your jars, is you don't want to clean them with soap and hot water. You just want hot water, and you want to just give them a really good rinse. They rinse clean really easily because there's really no residue. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lid these off, and we're going to start our second fermentation process. So now you can drink this just the way it came out of here, and that's fine, and it tastes delicious. It really does. But I really like that fizziness, like it's a soda. And I actually had some friends who've been doing kombucha for years and years and years who've never been able to get it to that consistency. So here's my secret. You want to lid them off, fingertip tight, because the last thing you want is an explosion. I have seen jars that have exploded on other people. Okay, and we got 4 of these here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 6 days. I'm going to be off by a day. I might have to go to 3 gallons a week. So, oh my goodness. I totally forgot. We got to get some ginger in these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I feel like the count from Sesame Street. 4 slices of ginger. These then, I'm going to just put them over here for now. But what I do is I store these. You have to put them in a cool, dark place. I have a beautiful wooden box that I found at it was in a flea market, I think. And it's just a beautiful hinged box that I keep on the floor in my kitchen by my back door. And they sit in there for a week. So you want to allow these to ferment for a total of 1 week. and then you're going to open them up to fizzy goodness. Now, one of the differences in using this particular tea as opposed to the tea that I'm going to use now is the regular tea that I'm going to use now, which is just a plain old iced tea brew or regular brown tea. It can create a small amount of alcohol. And I'm saying this because I know that there are people out there who do not drink alcohol at all by choice or by necessity, but the amount of alcohol that it produces cannot affect you unless you were to sit down and literally drink like 3 gallons of it straight up in one sitting, which I would not recommend you doing at all. So the next thing we've got going here is we've got our big jars. And this is where I get scared because I am terrible at pouring. And in fact, last time I burnt myself, so I'm going to do this a little differently and get stuff out of the way. I pre-boiled water here. So I'm actually going to use kind of a cheater method to just get these jars filled. Yeah, see, and even with my jarring mouth there, it still spills all over the place, partly because I'm sloppy, but you know. We're not going for perfection here, we're just going for water in the jar and a towel to clean it up later. Okay, the rest of it I think I can get. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. So, for those of you watching, what is your favorite thing that you have made during quarantine? Bonus points if it's something that was cooked outdoors or is for the outdoors. Now, I've left quite a bit of a remainder here, and there's a reason for that. I'll explain that in just a few minutes. But we are going to finish pouring off my second gallon. Oh, see, that's much better. I'm small, I'm tiny, and I'm weak because I haven't been doing my push-ups. So my arms don't have the strength that I need them to hold these big, giant pots full of water. Look at that. Oh my God. You're not going to want me to cook in your kitchen. Actually, you do, because I'm actually a really good cook. My mom was a great cook. My grandmother was a phenomenal cook. My aunt is a phenomenal cook. And I learned from the best. And I can cook German cuisine like you've never seen. I can cook just about anything. I think the only thing that I haven't been able to make is pesto. So we have left a reserve here, and there are a couple reasons why. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a cup of sugar to each one of these. Sweeten it up. Now the sugar is important because the sugar is what actually feeds and ferments your scobies. So now that we've got the sugar in there, we're just going to mix it up a little bit. I know, I need some new pot holders. I want some like cool bandana ones or something. I'm just too cheap to do it. I've actually been so bored during quarantine. You want to see what I've been making? Remember these? I actually bought one of the loom kits and the little loops, and I've been making these pot holders. I know, it's funny. So the next thing we're going to do is per gallon, you want 8 bags. 2, 3, 4 tea bags. Oh, that one lost his little tag. 5, 6, 7, 8. The next thing we have to do is we have to let these cool. So we will come back for part 2 of kombucha a little later once these have cooled off. But I just want you to see exactly what's going on here and how to do this. It's super easy. It's just like you're making iced tea. And that's really all you're doing, except you're not drinking it for a week or 2 weeks, depending on what you would like to do. You can flavor this with so many things. You can throw fruit in there. You can throw some lemons or lemon juice in there so it tastes more like a sweet tea. It's completely up to you. But what we're going to do now is we're just going to let these bags steep. And we're going to wait until these are down to room temperature, at which point we are going to take our scobies and we are going to add them back into the jars once they are at room temperature. That's very important because if you put the scobies in at a high temperature or a very, very cold temperature, remember these are living creatures, so you will kill them. They live at room temperature, so make sure that's where you're at. So I have my scobies. I've got some reserve juice here, and then whatever's left over after that, I'm probably just going to drink it. And the other thing I'm going to do right now, since we have so many scobies here, is these are cute because this happens when I'm drinking one of these. Like if this is fermented for an extra week, I open it up and sometimes I find these on top. They've like created their own little SCOBY of their own. It's so cute. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start a SCOBY hotel. And that is just basically me taking extra scobies that I do not need to put into these jars. And that's actually going to be my extra juice now that I think about it, because it needs a little bit just to keep them alive. So this is what we call a SCOBY hotel, and it is also going to sit in my fermentation box. What does it look like to you? Chicken? Brains. Does it look like brains? It's gross. I know. My husband thinks it's gross. And it freaks his scouts out when they come over. They're like, is Mrs. Underdog having those aliens that are coming out of the jar again? So we want these to sit, and every week you're going to feed it by adding just a little more juice until you're ready to start another gallon, which is probably what I am going to do next week. Or if somebody needs them, you can get them to them. So we will be back a little bit later when this is cooled off, and we can, I can just show you really quick how to add the scobies and the starter, and we're going to box them up and we're going to go. So thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day. In the meantime, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit all on that notification bell, and just have a blessed day. Be boss, be beautiful, be bushcraft.